Dear Sangha, dear friends, we're going to start our evening program tonight off with a little bit of music and a little bit of singing. Has anybody here ever sung the practice song, Mother Earth is a Great Big Ship? No? Okay. We'll learn it together. It's a simple song. First, I need some... Good. And then I'll sing a line, and then you repeat. Mother Earth is a great big ship that we are sailing on, sailing on. Mother Earth is a great big ship that we are sailing on, sailing on. Sailing on through space and time, space and time. Sailing on through space and time, space and time. Touch the earth, feel your worth, awaken to each new rebirth. Touch the earth, feel your worth, awaken to each new rebirth. Know your heart and open up the divine. Up the divine. Know your heart and open up the divine. Up the divine. And that's the song. So we'll go from the top and I'll try my best to feed you the lyrics. So Mother Earth is a great big ship that we're sailing on. Mother Earth is a great big ship that we are sailing on. Sailing on. Sailing on through space and time. Sailing on through space and time, space and time. Touch the earth, touch the earth, feel your worth, awaken to each new rebirth. Know your heart and open up the divine. Know your heart and open up the divine, up the divine. All right, one more time. Mother Earth is a great big ship that we are sailing on, sailing on, sailing on through space and time, space and time. Touch the earth, feel your worth, awaken to each new rebirth. Know your heart and open up the divine, up the divine. High notes, up the divine.
That really sums up the mindfulness trainings. It really does. My first retreat with Thai, the thing that made me lust after the brown jacket was to join a community where everybody wanted to be good. And I didn't know that such a thing could exist. I already lived in a community where everybody was trying to save the world. But this was a nice addition, to be good. So we're here tonight to look at the mindfulness trainings. And I want to start with a song. How many of you have either taken or just practiced with the five? That you've taken it on as a practice. Doesn't matter whether you did it in a formal ceremony. So what I'm going to ask you is we're going to play a song, and you're invited to do two things. One is that when you hear an instrument, you're invited to pretend you're playing it. So if you hear a piano, or you hear a guitar or a fiddle or whatever there is, just be ready to play. And the second is that if you hear a mindfulness training being referred to, that you put up the finger that it is. So there's reverence for life, there's generosity, true love, good. Loving speech and deep listening, and so that's the challenge when you hear the lyrics that go along with those. And maybe there's some that are more than one, and nobody will be checking your answers, but it should be enjoyable.
Just a few simple rules you can live by. Reminders how good this life can be. With just a few simple rules to live by, we can find the harmony. We'll never judge today by the weather. The best things in life are things. Tell the truth, there'll be less to remember. Walk softly with a loud shoe. These are just a few simple rules we can live by. Reminders how good this life can be. With just a few simple rules to live by, we can find happiness, we can find a harmony.
The bell is a transition from jovial to very serious. So what's the neurobiology of the 5 mindfulness trainings? We recognize that we can be carried away in many ways. We didn't mention today that we can also be carried away by happiness. We get really excited and then we forget everything else. So the mindfulness trainings are a contemplation and a set of guidelines to help us rein in the survival energies that begin to snowball. And they are a contemplation on how we can discern between when it's okay and when it goes over the line. And the it is our anger, it's our greed, it's our acquisitiveness, it's our use of our language, and our sexual energy. And it's really helpful to have something to consider when those energies come up, because they come up in all of us. And we all are susceptible to being carried away, not only as individuals, but as a culture. So the trainings are a support. They're a protection. They have our back. And they've been revised many times. You know, Thai took the trainings that were 3 words: refrain from whatever, refrain from killing, refrain from stealing, refrain from lying, refrain from intoxicants. And he kept detailing them out to make them relevant so we could get a little jump start on what all that means, so we could go deeper in what it means. But they are called the 5 mindfulness trainings of the order of interbeing. So that they have these 2 levels. They have the level of the historical dimension, where we refrain from this and that, and we cultivate their opposites: generosity, true love, reverence for life, etc. And they also lead us, if we take any one of them and go deep, 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 we begin to see the interbeing nature of everything. And that is the real gift in the trainings, is that it begins to give us a default of an interbeing nature. And that really has our back. That really gives us a sense of comfort and relief, and helps us take our rightful place in the family of things, of beings. So we're going to ask you, have enough to pass out to everyone? So we're going to ask you to take like 5 minutes to read through the trainings. If you're not familiar with them, something is going to bounce out, poke out and say, or like that. And so watch for that. And for those of you who know the trainings well, they never get old. Something different is always jumping out because the moments are always different. So all of us will read through the trainings and see what pops out for us. And then we'll do some different things with the responses, and in keeping with today's theme of how do we resource ourselves, because these are a foundational resource for our practice. And in the East, where these trainings originated, people didn't meditate first and then take on the trainings. They did it the other way around. They lived the trainings so that they could calm their minds enough to sit and go deeper. So we got a little backwards here, but maybe that works also. Whatever gets us both. Anybody missing one who would like one? And are these for people to have of their own?
Yes.
Okie dokie. So, ready, get set, go. Just notice what grabs your attention.
So as we're finishing up reading, or maybe I paused you too early, would anybody like to share if something came up, if they had like a line or a phrase that grabbed them, or if they had a reaction to one of the trainings? A very short share. Ellen?
Really pleased that climate change is included. I'm pleased that climate change is included in this. I think it's a good and courageous thing to include. Look forward to thinking.
Pleased that climate change is included in the mindfulness trainings.
What are the questions? Oh, does this mean
What are the questions that we have? Yeah.
Under true happiness, what does it mean at the bottom when it says I'm committed to practicing right livelihood?
Under true happiness, what does it mean to practice right livelihood?
we're just throwing out the questions, just like popcorn.
And there's also right diligence.
And right diligence as well.
Talk about
Not using alcohol at all. It's just like requires all teetotaling.
in this
like
tradition.
all or nothing.
In this tradition, yes.
What was the question?
Is
Teetotalers
the use of alcohol all or nothing?
in this tradition, according to Thai.
And would you be willing to say more about that this evening?
No. Not me. We've got a plan, but we're hoping that we have enough time to call out some of the and then do some storytelling, and then break up into small groups where these questions can be put to the experts.
If anger is manifesting in me, I am determined not to speak.
When anger is manifesting, I am determined not to speak. Question mark.
In the current sort of political and global climate, what does it mean to be able to not support any active building in the world?
Under nourishment and healing, I will practice looking deeply into how I consume the four nutrients, namely including volition. How do you consume volition?
How do you consume the nutriment of volition? Great question.
Under the sexual activity motivated by craving always harms myself as well as others. I don't know about that.
Sexual activity motivated by craving always hurts myself and others? Question mark.
Two more.
Protecting the lives of people, animals, plants, and minerals. I'm not too convinced about the minerals part.
You from Missoula?
No.
Isn't Montana a big coal state?
I'm from Wyoming.
There are no minerals in Wyoming.
Okay, one more. I saw it over here. There was a hand. Wasn't yours, but you go ahead.
Is it ever possible to talk about another person in a negative, constructive way?
Is it possible to talk about another person in a negative but constructive way? Okay. So we have a lot of questions floating through the air.
So I'm going to ask you, if you have worked with the five, to bring to mind some time where it saved your butt, where you were really glad that you chose to work with a training that helped guide you. If you have not worked with them, if you're not familiar with them, can you imagine a situation in which it would be welcome to have some guidance of this kind? So just to take a very brief amount of time, because we don't have much this evening and we want to be able to do our last activity, to think about how the mindfulness trainings have supported you in a very specific way. Whether they inspired you to say something at the right time, or to hold your tongue, or that you have the little trainings on your shoulder when you're about to do something that you know isn't terrific. Just bring it to mind. And I'm wondering how many of you actually can think of something where the trainings have really saved the day. Oh, goody, goody. So maybe we can hear some testimonials for a specific time, a story that you could tell briefly that would highlight how the trainings have been a resource. And maybe we'll take one person from each training, if we can manage that. AJ, I saw your hand up. Would you like to share? No pressure.
Should I, should I come up front so people don't have to?
this is on the 5th training, and it was around 2005. I was living in the Bay Area. I had kind of a traumatic event happen in my life, and I felt a lot of shame around the event, and I wanted to like physically disappear. Like I wanted to just drop in through the floor. And what came into my consciousness was, I just need a drink. And I thought of going down to this like little store just a couple blocks away, a little grocery store market, and I knew they had beer. And I was like, I'm just gonna get a beer. What can one beer hurt? But I was also very connected with the Sangha in the Bay Area, and I was like, well, I can't tell my Sangha friends and my Dharma teacher that I had a beer. And if I did have a beer, I would have to tell them. And then I thought about, I can't tell them that. I can't have a beer. And besides, I've taken these trainings, and I just was like, that saved my bacon, because I have a lot of history of alcoholism in my family, and I just felt like that would be a really poor choice for me. So the trainings and the Sangha and the relationships within the Sangha really helped.
I just want to be clear that when AJ said, and she would have to tell her Dharma teacher, that is not part of the rules. This is a self-policing, no-policing kind of operation. Who else? Anybody got? Yes.
I think I can do without the mic. I'm an alcoholic, and one of the reasons I drank was because I had a hole in me somewhere, and I was trying to fill it. And one of the things I realized when I did the trainings back in 2011 with Sherry Maples was that in the True Happiness training, where it says, and I invoke this every day in my life, I remember that I already have more than enough conditions to be happy. And that was huge in my ability to become sober, because I didn't have to, happiness depends on my mental attitude and not on external conditions. And I can live happily in the present moment simply by remembering that I already have more than enough conditions to be happy. And that just changed my life.
Dittos that are welcome. Yes. Yes, you.
Dear Sangha, loving speech and deep listening was the one that I was thinking of, and this is a practice that I'm currently working with. So I have a sense of one of my habit energies is to have a sense of over responsibility for people, and so often when people are sharing with me, I get kind of locked up and almost maybe feel like resentful or burdened, because I feel like when they're sharing their suffering with me, I need to do something about it. I need to fix. And so one thing I've just been reminding myself when people are sharing their suffering with me recently is I'm doing enough just by listening. I'm relieving suffering. I don't need to do anything else here.
I've noticed with myself, and it's not any one particular incident, but
with the 5th training, I've so backed away from watching the news and reading all about what happens politically every day, and just being very conscious about what I do choose to expose myself to with news or entertainment. And I find it's resulted in just far more equanimity and calmness. And I mean, I like to be informed, but it doesn't get to me and irritate me the way it used to.
I was an organic farmer for 15 years and tolerated a certain level of tractoring over killdeer nests and spraying worms because that was what we did. And then I moved to my own property in Missoula, and I remember coming here and talking to Greg about this, my first retreat, about, is it okay if I like trap the gophers? There was gophers all over my property. And I don't remember if you even told me something, but I went home that next week and I invested in like tons of wiring and chainsawed into the ground and put in gopher wiring instead. And I decided at that moment that I wasn't going to kill another animal in my garden because it drove me crazy how many people thought they were vegetarian eating lettuce when, as a farmer, you just have to kill the bugs sometimes. And so I've worked really hard in my garden to really hold this reverence for life and now grow more flowers for the bees and haven't sprayed or killed an animal in many years. Okay.
So on Sunday morning, at the crack of dawn, we will offer a transmission ceremony where those of you who care to begin to practice formally with one or more of the mindfulness trainings will be given an opportunity to do that in a collective way. And if you would care to have a Dharma name, you can also receive that as an encouragement to your practice. So the way we do that is that there's an application form for which you will not be turned down. And you will become a formal member of the extended community of the Tibetan order. And so you fill out the form. It's very simple. You talk about your aspiration of why it is that you care to do this. And that helps create a name that will inspire you to go to where you care to go to. Because these are 100% interpreted by you. There are no Dharma police. And we hope that working with these, the Dharma police inside you also disappears. It becomes a restorative justice plan. Just to make our work more streamlined, I'd like to get an estimate of how many of you would like to take it for the first time. One or more. You could just take number 1 or 2 or 3. And there's really no pressure. It's just that we have to prepare the hall and the certificates, and we don't want to stay up late at night to do it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so we got an idea. And where are the applications?
They're on the table. And so we suggest that when they get filled out, sometime between now and tomorrow, or sometime by tomorrow night, right?
No,
Go with your bell.
not night.
No, not night. Okay.
Sometime tomorrow, by the end of the personal practice time
Okay,
before the workshop time.
okay.
Yeah. So just put them in the bell.
So before they have Dharma sharing again, to talk about it if they want more time,
Yes.
okay. All right. Just clarifying.
Because after Dharma sharing is dinner and then the evening thing, and then I will have to stay up past my bedtime. And I won't like it. And you won't like it either.
You might point out that that's just in order to get a certificate at the ceremony, but there's also an altar call in the ceremonies for
Yes.
impulse wires.
Yes.
And you can still step forward to take them,
Yes,
but you won't get your certificate till later.
that's correct. Thank you, Rowan. I just learned the term altar call from somebody in here was talking about altar calls, right? Some Episcopal person. No, anyway. Oh, it was you, right. And you weren't Episcopal. I don't want to make a bad name. It was evangelical. So, let's end with a song.
How many of us are familiar with the Metta meditation song, to the tune of Amazing Grace? It is in the books. Maybe we want to pass out the books and we can start learning it while the books are being passed out. It's on page 16 when you get your book.
Is there anybody who has really nice handwriting and would be open to filling out the certificates? It would, for 5 people, it would probably be a 20-minute job. I'll talk to you afterwards, Steve.
So this song is to the tune of Amazing Grace. We'll sing it, page 16. We'll sing it in a few rounds. The first round will be I, the second you, the third we, and the last all. And harmony is more than encouraged, please. So, may I be filled